Call the meeting to order. Mr. Arcomando.
Present.
Mr. Nagito. Present. Mr. Quinn.
Present.
Mrs. Robinson.
Here.
Ms. Sanchez. Mr. Singh.
Here.
Mr. White.
Here.
Mrs. Zottarelli.
Present.
Could everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all members of the Board of Education and to the Bergen Record in accordance with the provisions of the Open Publics Meeting Act, Chapter 231, 1975. Before we turn it over to the superintendent, we have some unfinished business from last meeting. At this time, I'm going to ask again for nominations for Board President.
Through the chair, I'd like to nominate Mike Accomundo.
Any other nominations? Okay, at this time, I'll close the nominations. Is there any other discussion before I take the roll call vote? Okay, this vote is for Mr. Accomundo. Mr. Nagito?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
No.
Mrs. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez? Mr. Singh?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mrs. Zottarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Accomundo?
Yes.
We have a board president. Turn the meeting over to you. You can ask for nominations for vice president.
Okay. Nominations for Vice President?
Through the chair, I'd like to nominate Param Singh.
Any others? Closed?
Okay, we're going to do a roll call for Mr. Singh as vice president. Mr. Accomundo?
Yes.
Mr. Nagito?
Yes.
Mr. Quinn?
Yes.
Mrs. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez? Mr. White?
Yes.
Mrs. Zottarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Singh?
Yes.
Congratulations.
I'd like to turn the meeting over to the Superintendent.
Good evening. Welcome, everyone. Happy that we have a president and vice president in place, so congratulations to Mike and Param. Give them one more hand. Hopefully, we can get to move forward and get some work done,
Okay.
which is healthy. I just want to say under my superintendent's report, the only thing I'm going to talk about tonight is I was approached by a young man and his dad last week, William Mulder, who's a 10th grader, who's looking to do an Eagle Scout project at the school, and I think it's very commendable, so I'm going to share it with the board. I fully support it. If you have any doubts or questions, please feel free to ask me once I finish. But he's a current band member in 10th grade, and what he would like to do is, in order to augment the amount of instruments that we have at the school without us spending money, they're going to reach out to a number of alumni who have been productive at our school in the band, who are no longer playing their instruments, and I'm sure many of you, as parents and grandparents or whatever, probably, I mean, even if you have young children, they start things and sometimes they quit, and you spent a couple of $100 on an instrument that is no longer being used. So what his plan is to have scouts go through the records perhaps of the alumni, share it with the community, see if there are any other people involved, and that would be part A, is to collect instruments that we can bring into the music program to help some of the students who are just starting. If you were at the concerts a couple of weeks ago, One of the things that Mr. Ortega is doing currently is he has all the seventh graders, I believe, going through an instrumental program, and so they start there, and if we have any children who can't afford, or parents who can't afford the instruments or something that's difficult to get, then hopefully we will have that here. So that's part A. Part B is that in the springtime, what they would like to do is use the auditorium for an alumni band concert, and with the proceeds from the concert, use that to enhance or do work on the instruments to make them playable if there's a problem, and if there's any extra money, if it's possible to purchase instruments for the band program. So I really think this is commendable. I think it's something that helps us, it helps the community all in all, so I fully support it, and I just wanted to make you aware of that program. Hopefully will start February or March, okay, probably closer to March, so I wanted to share that. Any questions in regards to that at this time? Good, okay. The other thing I want to make the public aware of, I shared it with Franklin School last night. I don't like to hide anything. I don't like any surprises. We did have a threat to a student that was made via social media, I guess. It was from a YouTube account that the student has that he uses for gaming. And some comments came back to him that the parents noticed, and rightfully so. On Saturday evening notified Mrs. Violetti, the principal of Franklin School, and she notified the police, and then we had a chat yesterday morning, and the decision was made to bring in Bergen County Sheriff's Department to have a dog sniff through the school and make sure everything was safe. Lo and behold, everything was safe and is safe, and then we followed up with our own police department who was there as well. Officer Stanton did a wonderful job. There was another police officer, I don't know his last name, but his first name is Tony, hard for me to forget, who was very, very helpful as well. And Maneri? Okay, thank you. And they were very, very accommodating, and everything went well, very well actually. And so we decided that it would be a good thing to have school today with their presence involved and being around the building and being around the community. We are going to do the same type of thing for tomorrow. This is not something, you know, just going to go away by itself. Even if it's nothing, we treat it like it's something. It's very, very serious to me when these things happen, and I don't take it lightly. And, you know, they were questioning the idea about having the dog come in. I basically agree with the fact that we should have the dog come in. I want to make every possible arrangement for the safety of students and staff, and I just want to make the community aware that's what happened. We notified, obviously, all the administrators, the Board of Education, and the parents and staff at Franklin School. So if you hear that throughout the community, yes, there was a problem, and I'm happy to say that I think we did a real good job at addressing the issue. So that's where it's at. The police are currently looking into, I guess they're calling it going through Google. I don't know how they do this stuff, but they're trying to find out who the other person was on the other side. So I just want to put that out there. Other than that, I'm done with my report. So I'm going to move on to agenda for the action items.
I just wanted to make a comment on the way you handle that. I think it was great. Thank you for putting the kids first.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much. So on the student services, I'm going to ask you to please look at numbers 1 through 4. If there are any questions. No question? Seeing none, I will move through items 5 through 8. No questions? Seeing none, then I will move to curriculum and instruction. B, we'll look at 1 through 4. We did have a meeting. There are a number of new and revised courses that are on here that are in line with, first of all, what's needed from the actual curriculum. I can tell you that if we look at, let's go down to the revisions, I think, in number 3. Yeah. Number 4, as part of number 3, English Language Arts grades K to 6. The curriculum there has been revised to meet the standards, the needs of the standards, I should say. And currently, we are ahead of schedule, and we are ready for the 2017 school year, which is where this is needed. So I'm happy to report that we're ready to do that, and that's actually completed. Also, I want to bounce back up to the top of the page under number 1, Introduction of Humanities. That's to adopt. There seems to be, although the course was approved, the actual curriculum for this was completed in the summertime, but for some reason it never got to the board. I guess there was a mix-up with trying to catch up on all the pieces of curriculum that we needed in order to meet CUSAC, and I could see how that got slipped by there. But the course is in effect. It took place this year, so basically we're just approving the curriculum that goes with the course, and we're moving ahead with that. Looking at numbers 2, look at number 2 and 1 through 5. These are proposed for next year. These are going to be, for the most part, a little bit of a difference from what we're doing now. Instead of these being one-year courses, they're going to be semesterized for 2.5 credits. So students will have the opportunity to, say, take Introduction to Engineering or an Introduction to Photoshop for one semester and then decide what they want to do the next semester. If they want to back it up with something close to that or move on to another subject, they'll have that opportunity to do so. And you can look there where we have some very interesting courses being implemented. There's the Introduction to Robotics, Medical Ethics, and Introduction to Photoshop. So these are all part of the, if you saw the presentation back in December from Mr. Lawler, looking at the area of STEM. And then all the bottom ones, again, are just the revisions that are going forward for the revised curriculum. And again, it reflects here that I'll take it from number 7 down. Introduction to Graphic Design, Introduction to Photography, Introduction to Video Editing, excuse me, 2.5, and also Principles of Art and Design is 2.5 credits. The rest will be 5-credit courses, and it's just a new way of us being able to give students more of an opportunity to take different courses, be aware of more options, looking at 21st century careers and opportunities, and so that's the direction we are moving in. So you can review that. If you do have any questions, I will be happy to answer as best I can. Seeing none, I would move on. Business and board. If we look at the first section here, these are teachers going out for professional development. The first 5 at the end of this month is Texpo, which is run by the New Jersey Association of Superintendents, NJSA, that takes place in Atlantic City, where the latest in technology is available, as well as courses and other programs that are happening there. We have 5 representatives from the district who will be attending this program, and then come back and turnkey whatever we need to happen or introduce to us as superintendent and administrators and teachers and everybody else across the board, what are some of the things that are brand new or what we can do to augment our program. Now, you have to keep in mind that we have done a lot to augment the program here at Saddlebrook, even within the short time that I've been here. But there's always room for growth, so those people will be going there. The rest of them, if you want to look through If you have any questions, we have 3 teachers going out for teaching vocabulary in meaningful and powerful ways. The dyslexia program, if you're not aware of that, that started, I believe, 2 years ago, where we actually have to test children at the young, lower grade levels for dyslexia, so we can try to correct that as soon as possible. If there are no questions on that, I will move through to 10 through 16.
Wait, through the
Oh,
chair,
yeah.
I just, on the text about 17, is there something different that 2 of them will be doing versus the other 3? Because there's a almost $200 difference in cost.
They will require substitutes.
Okay.
Okay, that's basically it. Okay. All righty, so now we're going to move through number 2, 2 and 3, approve the following field trip request, and then on number 3, I will give you a deeper explanation when we get there. So, take a quick look at number 2. Seeing no questions on 2, I will explain what number 3 is. ESER Accountability Action Plan. That is the, we went through the park scores and we looked at all the growth and things that we need to work on. This from the state, though, actually they want to measure that you have 95% of your students taking the test, but it's not only 95% of your students, they measure subgroups within. So if it's English language learners, so it's non-speaking, English non-speaking students that are here, they have to, if we have 20, 95% of 20, we have to do that. Where we fell a little short was in the area of special education. We did not reach the 95% mark, so we have to put an action plan in place for the 3 elementary schools. So I have asked the 3 elementary school principals to write the action plans. And basically, I'm going to give you some samples. If I read all of them, we'll be here till tomorrow night. But some of the samples, though, are just to better communication with staff and parents. Especially, we still have some parents who are in the refusal group. I don't think park's going away anytime soon. So we want to have some better communication and make people understand that this is not totally a negative experience. It's a good way. I have to say, I've changed my opinion quite a bit on park based on what the information is that we get back from them. And also this year, the quickness and the turnaround in getting back to us. And they're also saying that next year it should even be faster. So it's been helpful. So we're going to build up on that communication. Meetings focusing on data. So we're going to look at more data between staff members and administrators. We want to continue to look at where the weaknesses are, pieces that we need to fix. And looking at special education especially, made a recommendation that there's a group called CPAC. I think the CPAC group needs to have more input, and they should be given more opportunities to hear things and share things with us as well. So I think CPAC would be a big part of this. I also encourage all the principals that they really need to sit down with our Director of Special Services so that we can identify the students who are really having these difficulties and try to come up with alternative plans to try to help them out moving forward. And that's pretty much the gist of it. It's the communication, it's spending the time looking at data, and it's spending the time talking to each other, not just the communication overall with parents, but speaking to each other in the classrooms and with staff members. So that's pretty much where that's at. Anybody have any questions on that piece? Okay. Seeing none, I will then move to numbers 4 through 6.
So on 4 through 6, I gave board explanation on 4 and 5, 6 as well. But I'm just, once we get this approved on Wednesday, I'm very excited for this energy project. It's almost 2 years, I think, in the making right now. The state has, a lot of steps and procedures for it. This will be not not as large as the referendum, which was great. We have this new auditorium, the bathrooms, the roof project, but a lot of energy savings. We get some of our boilers up to where they should be. Also some fans, if you've been in our gyms, they're very hot. These destratification fans, lighting controls, just a lot of stuff that'll be very good for the district. Not only saving money, but get us all our buildings up to date. So I'm very excited about this project.
Questions, 4 to 6? Anything? I'm going to move through 7 through 10.
On item number 8, the agenda the board received last week had a different item. Number 8, it was the blanks for the lighting for this auditorium. We had to move that back a week, so we're hoping to get the bids opened on January 19th, and then hopefully make an award at the upcoming meeting. If we have a special meeting, we can get that approved. So I switched it out with number 8. I also notified you about. We were having some repair work done over the winter break at our board offices. We're not getting heat in certain areas, and once they start changing the pipes, other pipes kept breaking on them, and it just led to pretty much a full replacement of the board office heating pipes in and out. So I just want to get this on the books and to the county superintendent that this work had to get done, and the company was able to luckily do it over that break we had.
Seeing no questions, I will move to letter D. The policy, this is the one for booster clubs. This will again be the first reading because the changes made that came about from our discussion at the last meeting. I don't know if Jessica, do you want to talk about that at all, or? All right, so that's basically what happened there. And now I would like to turn it over to Mr. Accomando, who can do the committee reports and take it from there. Thank you.
Any committee reports? I know we have to meet the committee, so if you have an interest on a committee, please email me and Mr. Singh will go through. Yeah, cheers.
Yes, I handed out the sheet to the board at the meeting last Wednesday. If you could review that and get back to Mr. Accomando and Mr. Singh as soon as possible, because some of the committees, like the budget one, we have to get up and running as soon as possible.
Mr. Singh, do you want to talk at all about the curriculum?
Sure. We had a curriculum meeting today with Christine Steiner and Rob Lehman. We really just talked about most of the new courses that are being added, such as Intro to Robotics, Intro to Photoshop. Just a lot of exciting things are happening in the school. We're introducing a lot of new courses. There's the STEM Academy we're going to be opening up. So these courses are more focused on technology development and using this technology for the future. And we're getting the kids excited. And actually there's a STEM Con, sort of like an introduction of all the courses to the entire school this Wednesday. So the kids can come in and see all the courses and see what they like, what they're interested in before they start taking classes on the 11th, I believe.
Thank you.
Old business? The old business?
No, just before all business, in the items to the board, you have a 2017-2018 budget calendar. I just want to distribute that. So you see the dates, and the committee will be meeting probably mid to later January through February until we adopt the tentative budget in March. So you just have to note that in the minutes that you guys all have that calendar.
Okay. Any old business? New business? I need a motion to open the meeting to the public.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Anyone wishing to speak? Where'd it go, Ray? Residents are requested to state their names, addresses, and subject matter. In the event it appears that the public committee comment portion of the meeting may exceed 45 minutes, the presiding officer may limit each statement made by a participant to 5-minute durations. Issues raised by members of the public may or may not be responded to by the board. All comments will be considered and a response will be forthcoming if and when appropriate. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of others, individuals, when speaking. Specifically, comments regarding students and employees of the board are discouraged and will not be responded to by the board. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded by the laws of New Jersey. The board bears no responsibility, nor will it be liable for any comment made by members of the public. Members of the public should consider their comments in light of the legal rights of those affected or identified in their comments and be aware that there are legal, responsible, and liable for their comments.
Thank you. Tracy Sullivan, 180 Nettle Drive.
Just a quick question. I was wondering if you were going to go over what was happening with Mr. Boofy's seat on the board, since he is no longer here.
We actually have a process going on Wednesday, so we'll have somebody hopefully by Wednesday night.
Okay. Also, just wondering, Smith School has been without we have an interim principal for the last year and a half. And from what I've seen, I haven't seen a posting for that position on the district website. So just wondering if and when that search will begin, considering it's January?
My plans are to have that posted February 1st for the opening, because we are, I don't know if you're aware of it, but the board's starting to interview for the superintendent
Right.
this month, within the next 2 weeks or so. And then the intention is to move forward with the principal as well.
And why is that search beginning so late?
For principal?
Yes.
Actually, February, March, and April are the best 3 months to find a principal.
And when the interim was hired, she was hired for 2 years, or she
I
was hired for
wasn't
1
here.
year? I'm just wondering
was-
why
Yeah, I don't know. I can go back.
we haven't been looking sooner.
But was she hired up 2 years?
It was just hired for the 1 year and then renewed
Okay.
for this school year.
Okay, and this is the first time you're searching for a candidate for
I
principal?
think the prior interim was going to start the search too, but with the changeover, now it's with Tony.
Now, will the new superintendent have to hire the principal for Smith School?
No,
or-
I hope to, actually, if we're looking February, March, and April, I hope to be able
Okay.
to get the
Solidify
process from the
candidate.
beginning to the end and
Okay.
move ahead.
Okay, thank you much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Melissa Gonzalez, 86 Bell. Congratulations on being on the board and having me here. I just have a quick question about the dyslexia testing. Is that done within our
District?
Within
Yeah,
district?
it's done
or,
within the district,
when
yes.
is that?
Teachers are actually taught how to do that in the grade levels that are required.
Okay, so the
yeah.
actual teachers are the ones
It's
testing.
done in school,
Okay,
yes.
thank
You don't have to go someplace to do that, all right?
Thank you.
Tara Apgar, 287 East Lanza Court. It's regarding the incident that happened at Franklin School, and I was wondering if Mr. Rashika had a chance to read my email and if he could address my concern of this morning.
I did not see your email today.
Well, just the gist of the email was that we were told as parents in your message that there would be police presence, and this morning, there was no police presence. I stayed at the school in the freezing cold until 9:15, and not one police officer even drove past at that time. I live right around the corner, so I did drive past several other times throughout the day, and there was police officers, but at drop-off, when I feel like someone should have been there, there was nobody there.
That was the plan, and I can only tell you that you may not have seen an actual police car, but that's all I can say at this time.
Okay, but there should have been a police, if parents were promised a police car, there could have been undercover, and that's fine, but there should have been an actual police car so that parents had a peace of mind.
That was my plan, and that's how, when I left here last night, that was the plan. I did connect with the police department this morning as well, and, yep.
Right, but if a parent is being told the police are going to be there, we should be able to see the police. If a plain officer cop is there, I don't know that they're there, so now I don't feel safe sending my child to school. I was told in a message, and I have it on my phone if I need to play it, which I'm sure you all know what it says, police were going to be there, so I didn't see police. So as a parent, I'll just take my kids home because I don't feel safe. But to a parent, it does. That's what I'm saying. Thanks.
Michelle Levy, 45 William Street. And not seeing them also doesn't mean they are there. And that is a huge concern. I did not send my daughter to school today because nobody's really telling us anything except the school is safe. Well, how do we know that? Because you don't know who made the threat. So if you brought bomb-sniffing dogs in, that's great. There's no bombs. I can trust you on that. And I can also trust the Saddlebrook Police Department. But nobody was there, standing at a door, making sure that my daughter was safe. Nobody knows who did it. Nobody knows if a kid walked into that school with a gun. Nobody knows if that kid walked into the school with a knife. If it was a kid, we don't even know. So that's not really a fair statement, saying, well, you can just trust us. Well, maybe if it was your child, you wouldn't feel the same way. That being said, it's very difficult to want to send your child to school not knowing if they're safe. As parents, I think you would feel the same way. Is my daughter safe? I'm just gonna let him go and trust everybody. No, my daughter did not go to school today, and I have a very hard time maybe even sending her tomorrow, to be honest with you. But I'm not asking you for your security process. What Mrs. Apgar said and what I'm saying is we didn't see police, and you told us that we would. That is my first thing. My second thing is my daughter has problems with math, and I reached out to the principal at her school. I reached out to the resource teacher, and neither of them felt that she needed help. So I then reached out to your math specialist, and I think from what I heard, I'm not allowed to say names, so I won't. But he was condescending, he was not helpful, and he basically told me that the only reason I was calling was because I wanted my daughter to get a good grade. No, I want my daughter to get the help she needs. On top of that, the only person who helped her was her teacher, who sees her 3 mornings a week for extra help. So she is doing much better now, thanks to her teacher and no one else who felt that it was concerning enough to help my daughter. That is a problem, especially when his last words to me were, I promise your daughter won't get left behind, and I will call you. There's a break coming up. Mind you, it was the break in November, the first break, the week of teachers' convention. I have never heard from that man again. That is a problem.
Can I ask a question? I just want to go back. Did you ask the teacher for help initially, or did you just contact the principal? What happened at the very beginning?
Last year, my daughter was receiving help with math from the resource teacher, and he helped her a lot, and he got her
Good.
right.
All right,
So I was hoping to get that help again this year. So I reached out again, asking, and I reached out to the teacher first, and she told me that they told her she wasn't
wouldn't have the time
eligible.
or something. All right, if
She's
it's-
doing really well now. So you're going to go talk to this guy, and he's going to say, well, she's doing great. Yeah, she is, thanks to her teacher. So I want you to know that you have a wonderful, wonderful sixth grade teacher at Franklin School who really cares
And
about
thank
the
you for
children.
sharing.
At least she
Yeah.
does.
Okay, and thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it.
Anyone else wish to be here? Like to close the meeting to the public? Motion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? To recess to close the executive session to discuss personnel, contract negotiations, and matters covered by the attorney-client privileges per NJSA 10-4-6, Open Public Meeting Act. The subject matter discussed may be disclosed to the public if and when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Actions may be taken when the board reconvenes in open session. Motion, have a motion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, if I could, thank you to the board for voting for me in Param, and see you Wednesday.
Just on, Wednesday's meeting, just so the public knows, remove the meeting back from 7 to 8 o'clock because we're going to hopefully do the board vacant position. If that doesn't happen, we're going to do the superintendent search with the company. So in any event, we're starting here 8 o'clock in the auditorium for the regular business. And for the board, we're going to try it going for closed session, room 110. So you can take a break and meet us down there. It's down the hallway. Halfway down the
Down
hallway.
to the right.